When a force is applied in the direction of motion, object accelerates and continues to move in the same direction. When object thrown in horizontal direction and a vertical force is applied on it, it accelerates in the direction of force and follow the parabolic path as in case of projectile motion under gravity. The next level is when the applied force is always perpendicular to the object motion. In this case, object forced to move on a circular path, and the force is always along the radius and directed toward the center of the circle. This center-seeking force is known as centripetal force, and related acceleration known as centripetal acceleration. If an object of mass m moving with a constant speed v in a circular path of radius r, then the centripetal force acting on the object will be given by mv square by r, and the related acceleration is given by v square by r. Or in other words, we can say that if an object is under centripetal or perpendicular force Fc and moving with a constant speed v, then its path will be a circular path of radius r, which is given by v square by ac, or it's given by mv square by fc. So if we increase the speed, we have to increase the force to maintain this radius r. Otherwise, it will move to the circular path of bigger radius r2. Here, if we increase the speed from v1 to v2, the radius of the circle increases from r1 to r2 if we keep the centripetal force constant. And this is the reason you see the speed limits on turning on the roads, because the speed is limited with the radius of the circle. Okay. In circular motion, as centripetal force is always perpendicular to the motion of the object, it does not change the speed. Instead, it only changes its direction. As per Newton's first law, we know if a body is in a state of rest, it will remain in the state of rest. And if it is in the state of motion, it will remain moving in the same direction with same speed, unless an external force applied on it. The property by which object resists this change is known as inertia. Inertia is a fundamental or inherent property of each object which has mass. Centripetal force continuously works against the inertia to keep that in circular path. Because of inertia, object itself feels an outward force opposite to centripetal force. And that feeling of outward force in a circular motion is known as centrifugal force. Remember, it is not a real force, instead it is a pseudo force, which is an imaginary force. Its magnitude is equal to the magnitude of centripetal force Fc, which we have seen in the previous slides, and its direction is always opposite to centripetal force. Now question is, if centrifugal force is not a real force, then why we need to consider it in solving physics problems? When we attempt motion related problems, we generally use inertial frame of references. Inertial frame is a frame without acceleration. It may be a frame at rest or moving with a constant speed. For example, a Cartesian coordinate reference frame attached to the ground, assuming Earth is not rotating or spinning. Solving problems using inertial frame do not require to consider any pseudo forces like centrifugal force. But some problems become easy when we solve them using non-inertial frames and considering pseudo forces. Consideration of pseudo force is required in non-inertial frames to explain the situation as per Newton's first and second laws. In non-inertial frame, the pseudo force F pseudo is equal to the mass of the object and acceleration of non-inertial frame. Acceleration of non-inertial frame. And the direction is opposite to the direction of acceleration of frame. Now let's take an example. A trolley is moving in anti-clockwise direction on a circular rail of radius r. Explain the motion through inertial and non-inertial frame. Here the observer A is in inertial frame. He is standing on the ground. The observer A sees that the trolley is moving on a circular path of radius r. That means trolley is under a centripetal force Fc, which is equal to the mass of the trolley, the speed of the trolley square divided by radius of circular path. And this is net force on the trolley and is explained as per the Newton's second law. But for observer B, the trolley is at rest because there is no relative motion between the observer B and the trolley. But in reality, the trolley is moving on a circular path, so there is a centripetal force. So observer B needs another force which balances the centripetal force. But in reality, there is no other force acting on the trolley. Since this observer himself is accelerating with the acceleration AC, which is a centripetal acceleration, same as the acceleration of trolley, he is in accelerated frame or non-inertial frame. So when the observer is in non-inertial frame, the pseudo force which he needs to consider is given by the mass of that object or trolley in this case and the acceleration of non-inertial frame, which is AC, and the direction is opposite to the direction of real acceleration. So the pseudo force will be acting on that is MAC. AC is V square by R. Now the net force from the perspective of observer B on the trolley is given by centripetal force plus pseudo force, and this is equal to mv square by r, and pseudo force is negative, right, minus mv square by r, and this is 0. According to the observer B, who is in non-inertial frame, the net force on trolley is 0. That means trolley is not moving or at rest, and that is what he see when he was sitting inside the trolley. So the pseudo force come into play only in case when observer is in non-inertial frame. Pseudo force are never considered in case when the observer is in inertial frames. And that's all for today's session. I hope you would have enjoyed this session. If you think you have learned something new today, then please click like button and subscribe us for similar type of knowledgeable videos. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.